Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jennifer Tebow again. Yep, I'm talkative today. You know, I kind of do these things in spurts. But I have one more thing to say. One more thing. It's going to probably be 10 minutes, so forgive the one more thing, but it is what it is. So, unless you've been under a rock and you just don't like sports and you just don't like news, then you've most certainly heard about the controversy that has kind of come out of the Los Angeles Clippers owner, Donald Sterling, with taped conversations between him and his girlfriend, V. Stiviano. And it has been so interesting for me to kind of watch, not only or to hear the statements made. It's been interesting, but to also listen to the reactions from people, from a broad spectrum of people, whether they are current or former NBA players, or have some affiliation with professional basketball, or just, community activists. It's been very interesting for me to hear what people are calling for, demanding, and everything in between. So I just thought, when I first heard about it, I kind of missed the boat when it first hit. And so when I first heard about it, I kind of pondered on it for a moment. And if you know me, you know I have fought the power, the power of racism, and the disgrace that racism is for a very long time, and have been just disgusted with some of the thoughts and sentiments and everything else that people have kind of thwarted into our community. So one would think that me, Jennifer Tebow, would be the one that would probably have a similar reaction to what I'm kind of seeing is happening at, kind of broad spectrum. So Donald Sterling and his girlfriend, keep in mind he's married, but the wife is supposed to be estranged, even though it's really strange because they had dinner together looking kind of semi-happy the other day. So it's different, different strokes for different folks. But at any rate, he's got a wife and a girlfriend. And the wife is in the middle of suing the girlfriend, saying the girlfriend's basically a gold digger and has extorted money from, an old man. And so this girlfriend is kind of in the midst of fighting that. So it's kind of interesting that her current boyfriend, I'm assuming they're not boyfriend, girlfriend anymore. She takes these conversations that they've had, private conversations, and, gives it, sells it, whatever it may be, shares it with TMZ. And then TMZ, of course, blasts it to the world. And in those comments, you get to hear the idea that the man who is allegedly Donald Sterling in the tape, in the recording, saying that basically he doesn't like black people, doesn't associate with black people, and of course I'm paraphrasing big time, and doesn't want his girlfriend to broadcast the idea that she associates with black people. So he didn't want to see her in photographs on her Instagram page and in social media with black people in particular. What makes it kind of particularly interesting is that the girlfriend is not Caucasian. You would think a comment like that would be towards a person who didn't have any level of African American in her, but she does. She's apparently half Hispanic and half African American, from what I gather, allegedly. Keep throwing that word out, the big A. And so that's kind of an interesting thing that you hear that kind of conversation happening between those two people, but it is what it is. There is a conversation that's come out, and that's the words that are being said on the tape. The validity of it is probably still hanging in the balance. If anybody will jump up and affirm, yes, that was me, no, it wasn't, or whatever. Here's my comment about it, and I'm very serious about this. If it had not been for all the work that I've done and the research and just the conversations with activists around the world and the work I've done, I would probably feel a little different. But here's what I know. I've run across quite a few what I consider racist people. The idea that we have racist people walking around in the United States is not shocking to me. The idea that there are some people that may be at high levels of power, to be able to influence economic change and development in a community, to say that those people, to the idea that, some of those people could be racist, not shocking to me. The reality is, who do you think was running the United States in the 40s, 50s, and 60s? I mean, there's a reason we were at a place where we were. There's a reason why in 1964 there had to be a law that tried to change the course of history, because history had us on a certain path. Now, I say all that to say, a law is fantastic, and that is the start. But a law does not flip the switch on sentiment, on feelings, on emotion. People have to do the work. They've got to put the work in. The community has got to put the work in to be able to make that kind of shift. To go from a mentality where it's okay to publicize watching people get bitten by dogs and hosed down, people, human beings, that was okay to publicize that, to shift to say, oh my God, it's wrong. You have to have some level of development. And to be honest with you, quite frankly, society has fought that change. We look at some other laws that have been implemented since then, and the change has been consistently fought, whether it was legally fought or whether it was just denied. So the idea that potentially a professional basketball team owner could be racist and not really like a certain ethnicity, even though his team is comprised of that ethnicity and the head coach is that ethnicity, that's not shocking to me. You have to understand that if a person is racist, if they are, they're more than just that, okay? And I'm not trying to minimize a racist, but they're more than that. They're a business owner. Hey, he's a father, he's a brother to somebody, he's a son to somebody. He's all of those things, which means him buying the Clippers, Donald Sterling, was a business circumstance. It didn't mean that he wanted to create a circumstance where he was owning black people, because that's not what owning an NBA team means. It's a business transaction that hopefully you create a profitable circumstance for yourself. There are a lot of people calling for him to not be an owner in the NBA and all these things. And I actually don't have that same feeling. The reality is I'm grateful that the conversations have been elevated to a higher level, that people are talking about the idea that some people in power may still have that mentality, because I think we walk around almost as if we think that it just doesn't exist anymore. And it absolutely does. I can point you to a lot of places in America that I would not walk around. And, I just wouldn't. I would be frightened for my life. And because I just know that there is that racist mentality. And, and even if I wasn't frightened for my own life, I don't want to be in an environment of hatred. And that's what racism is. But should a person who's racist be disallowed from owning an NBA team because, according to good old Chuck on the TNT team, Charles Barkley, the NBA is a majority African American players. No, I don't think so. I don't think he should be banned from owning a team if that was not a qualification to begin with. We can't be discriminatory against someone after the fact because we don't like their opinions. You can call it what you want, but the notion that you choose to have hatred towards a person, that is your opinion. That's your opinion. Now, if it were to come out that he was discriminating against African American customers that were coming in to the arena, discriminating against African American applicants at the front office, or even players, that's a different story, and that can be handled in a different way. The idea that the society is literally trying to crucify him for having an opinion, it may not be a popular opinion, but he has an opinion, and I believe everybody has a right to their opinion. So in from my perspective, you don't crucify a person for an opinion no matter what it is. Now, if he said, let's kill the black people that walk that walk through the door, yeah, it's a different situation. But he's not saying any of those things. And he said it as part of a private conversation that the other person he was talking with actually shared. So, I would tell you, yes, it's a black mark on the notion of leadership, that a leader would have that kind of mentality. Because I do find racism to be a bit closed-minded. So it's disappointing. It's disheartening. We want to see all of our leaders be exemplary, meaning that they, support diversity at the highest level, and they support the growth and development of human beings, no matter what their race, their ethnicity, their religious beliefs, their abilities. We want to believe that that is who our leaders are, but that's not the case. So now that we see and our eyes are open, let's get there. Let's do the work. Don't crucify somebody. Let's do the work to get to the better place. So no, I'm not calling for Donald Sterling to be banned from being an NBA owner. I'm calling for his community and for the NBA to do the work that it's going to take to strengthen the leadership, not only within a Donald Sterling, but within their entire organization. There shouldn't be anybody feeling the need to protest, to do the silent protest. It was sad, and I mean, I was sad for the Clippers that they felt that they needed to exert a silent protest. I felt like it was probably the right response. It wasn't too much, it wasn't over the top, but I think they needed to respond to say how they felt. But it's a distraction to them to even have to have that conversation when they should have been having a conversation about their performance on the court. And that's really what they're getting paid to do. And so ultimately, and I've always said this, racism and those things in the business place, in the workplace, it creates a distraction that impacts performance. It doesn't matter if it's the NBA or if you make chips or soda or if you make car parts or anything else. It's a distraction that hurts the organization overall. So I just wanted to kind of jump out there and say that I don't know if that shocked you about me, since I have kind of fought the power and, kind of stared racism in the face and, lived to tell about it. But, I want to embrace this opportunity to have the conversation about how we move beyond the shock and awe that racism exists, because it's time for us to move past it. And let's put the work in as members of our community to strengthen our leaders so that these kinds of things start to lessen and lessen in our communities. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Just had to say it. And I promise you this is it. So it's 3:13 p.m. on April 28th. It's Jennifer Tebow. Catch up with me on Facebook.com/Jennifer Tebow or JenniferTebow.com. Talk to you all soon.